In NASCAR's 75-year history, there have been many numbers come and go. On any given weekend, you will see 36 to 40 unique numbers on the track, and each of those numbers has a story to tell. Hi, I'm your host Matt, and this is NASCAR Number History, presented by Dogleg Media. In this series, we look to tell the stories of each of those numbers. Who won with the number first, who found victory lane the most, and every other driver to grab a trophy in the number. We also cover honorable mentions from you, the viewer. We go in numerical order, and today we explore every number in the 90s. If you missed numbers 1 through 89, the Number History playlist will be linked below. But with that out of the way, let's dive into some more NASCAR Number History. We start the penultimate episode of Cup Series Number History with the 90, and luckily it isn't winless, if only barely. Let's dive in. The 90 has one win with one driver. It's competed in 924 total races with a 0.1 win percentage. The 90 has been in the sport from the very beginning, with a Hall of Famer and two-time champion making the first start in 1949 at Charlotte. Tim Flock would make the numbers debut in the Cup Series debut. He would start second and finish fifth in a field of 33 cars. Flock would make 9 starts in the number total, with a best finish of second the very next race at Daytona Beach. And then we get to our only winner. The driver to save the 90 from the clinches of winless would be Jody Ridley. Ridley would grab the number's only win in 1981 at Dover. 1981 was a great year for Ridley. He would not only grab his first and the number's only win, but he would finish top 10 16 times. This would get him his best points finish of 5th as well. And then on to honorable mentions. I want to give a massive shout out to Dice from Discord. Sourcing the honorable mentions for each video is easily the most time-consuming part of script writing. Dice volunteered to collect all the honorable mentions and made a document for me. His channel will be linked below, and be sure to check him out. And if your mention gets featured, be sure to thank Dice in the comments section. Gilmore, Maddox, High Octane Cards, and Suarez Fan all suggested Dick Trickle. Trickle would have 2 stints in the 90, both for Don LeVay Racing. His first stint would come in 1976, and then he would run the number from 1996 until 1998. That till makes this scheme scream the 90s, and I love the number font too. Great mention. Impact, Cards, and the Hunter from Discord all suggested Ken Schrader. He would run the 90 from 1985 to 1987 for Don LeVay Racing as well. This Red Baron scheme is amazing. I love the number font, the colors, everything about this scheme is top notch. And finally, Christian Harvey and Dice from Discord suggested David Stremme. Stremme would be the last to drive the 90, in 2014 with Circle Sport. They would change their number to the 90 from the 33, in a tribute to the aforementioned Junie Donlevay, and the scheme was also a tribute to him. Awesome mention. And tombstones, a true staple of the channel. We love to see them. We just talked about the last to drive the 90 being David Stremme in 2014. The last full-time driver of the 90 would be Dick Trickle during the 1998 season. I like the 90. I think it's a cool number. I hope someone gives it the love it deserves soon. And now we get to a number that has some pretty recent notoriety, all thanks to a Kiwi. Let's jump into the 91. The 91 has 17 total wins with 2 different drivers. It's competed in 328, but it's about to be 329 races, and it has a 5.2 win percentage. We start this one off with a pretty historic first to drive. The first to pilot the 91 would be Ethel Mobley in 1949 at Daytona Beach. Ethel is the sister of NASCAR Hall of Famer Tim Flock and is tied for being the second woman to compete in the NASCAR Cup Series. And a fun fact, Tim would say that she got her name from the gasoline that her father used in his own car. That's pretty neat. And speaking of Tim Flock, he would take the number his sister would first pilot to victory lane for the first time in 1951 at Mobile. Tim is also the winningest driver of the number, with an impressive 16 wins. He would win the number's only championship in 1952, with an impressive 8 wins that season in the 91 Hudson Hornet. And as mentioned before for the 90, Flock is a 2-time champion and Hall of Famer, and he would get nearly half of his career wins in the 91. And now we finally get to highlight a driver who made the biggest possible splash in his Cup Series debut. It's the man that at the time of this recording is a perfect 1-for-1 in the Cup Series. The Kiwi himself, Shane Van Gisbergen. And I'm going to try to keep my personal bias out of this, as SVG is set to be my new favorite driver. Seeing what he does in the Australian Supercar Series and how he would torch the Cup competition was an unreal thing to see. Gisbergen would snap a 70-year-long winless drought for the number with his win at the inaugural Chicago Street Race in 2023. SVG has confirmed that he will be leaving the Supercar Series at the end of the 2023 season to pursue a career in NASCAR, and I couldn't be more thrilled. He could very well change the 91's history again at the Indy Road Course here next weekend, and I sure hope he does it. Could SVG be the new full-time driver of the 91? Where do you think he lands in the Cup Series? Let me know in the comment section down below. And then on to honorable mentions. Blode, Stephanie, Jacob, Dice, and Titan would all suggest Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi is an F1 world champion and one of 2 drivers to pilot Trackhouse Racing's Project 91. He was the first to do so last year at Watkins Glen, and he made a start in 2023 at COTA as well. And a lot of people suggested this one. Titan, Sick41, Stephanie, Christian, Nathan, Cardi, Derek, Okinawa, Saint, and Dice all mentioned Bill Elliott. Elliott would make select starts in the Evernham 91 in 2004 and 2005. A legend of our sport, he would grab a top 10 in the number at Indy. And on to the current driver. We don't have a tombstone for this one. What a refreshing change of pace. While there isn't a dedicated driver for this ride, it is the number behind Trackhouse Racing's Project 91 program. Kimi Räikkönen and SVG are the 2 drivers to share seat time in the car. Kimi has made 2 starts in the number at the time of this recording, and SVG is set to make his 2nd start. I would love to see SVG get this ride full time. I would also love to see Red Bull follow him from Supercars. Will either of these things happen? Probably not, but this is my dream, and I'm hoping it becomes reality. And then we move on to a super historic number. One would say it's fabulous. Let's dive in to the 92. The 92 has 43 total wins with 2 different drivers. It's competed in 498 total races with an 8.6 win percentage. And yeah, this number basically belongs to one man, much like the 87 did for Buck Baker. The driver to make the number's first start would also be the driver to get the number's first win and the winningest driver as well. It's Herb Thomas in the fabulous Hudson Hornet. The number's first start would come in the 3rd ever Cup Series race in 1949 at Hillsborough. Herb would first wheel the 92 to victory lane in 1950 at Martinsville. Thomas would dominate in the Hudson Hornet, winning an astounding 42 times with the number. He would also win 2 championships in the number in 1951 and 1953. Thomas is a pioneer of our sport and was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2013. And then on to the last to win. The only other winner for the 92 would be Marvin Panch. He would be the last to take the 92 to victory lane, way back in 1957 at Lehigh. Panch is a 17-time winner in the Cup Series, and a Daytona 500 winner as well. This win at Lehigh would be his only win in the 92, however. Marvin would only make 3 starts in the 92, winning in his first start with the number. That's pretty decent. And then on to honorable mentions. This was a heavily requested mention as well. JK Speed, Divine, JP Turbo, Maddox, Saint, and Dice all suggested David Gilliland's Black's tire car. He would run this in 2018 at Daytona. I love the scheme, and the number font is clean too. Great mention. And then NASCAR Kid, TNKL, and Dice all suggested Timothy Peters. He would only make 1 career Cup Series start, and it would come in the RBR 92 at Talladega in 2018. And back to the tombstones. We have already mentioned the last to drive the 92 with Timothy Peters' lone Cup start in 2018 at Talladega. The last full-time driver would be Stacy Compton, where he would drive the 92 for the entire 2001 season. This is a historic number. Someone needs to bring it back. Imagine some of the throwbacks we could get with this one. And now we've hit our first winless number of the 90s. We had a good run, honestly. Let's jump in to the 93. The 93 has competed in 413 total races with 4 top 5s. It's never earned a pole position, and it's had 38 lead lap finishes. Our first to drive would be a name we've heard a lot of in this episode, Herb Thomas. While Herb would be famous for the 92, he would actually make his first start with the 93 in NASCAR's first ever race, Charlotte, 1949. Thomas wouldn't fare very well in this race, however, as he would finish 29th out of 33 cars with a springs issue. This would be the only start Herb would ever make in the 93. And then we move on to the best finish. Herb would get the number's first start, but his younger brother would get the number's best finish 2 years later at Charlotte. Donald Thomas would get the number's best ever finish, a 3rd place at Charlotte in 1951. This 3rd place finish would net Thomas a whopping $450, which in today's money would be a little north of $5,000. Not a lot considering today third place will pay anywhere from $70,000 to $300,000 depending on the race. And then on to honorable mentions. Trash, Impact, Adam Brown, Cards, Derek Long, Derek Butler, and Saint all suggested Dave Blaney. Specifically, they mentioned his Amico Ultimate car. He would run the 93 for Bill Davis Racing from 1999 to 2001. This scheme is super nice, another one that screams 90s. And then Christian, Coleslaw, Ace Money, and Dice all suggested Ryan Ellis. Ellis would make 3 starts in the BK Racing 93 in 2016. I always kind of liked the BK schemes and number font as well. And Divine, Titan, Jacob, Christian, and Dice all mentioned Travis Quapple. Quapple was the last full-time driver of the number, with its last full season with a dedicated driver being 2013. And on to the current driver. I'm going to start having ChatGPT come up with the tombstone text, because I'm honestly running out of ideas with all these driverless numbers. The last time the 93 saw the track would be in 2016, with an honorable mention, Ryan Ellis. The last full-time driver would be another honorable mention, Travis Quapple, with the number's last full season being 2013. This number has never even been the first loser. Who can bring this car a second place finish? You have to walk before you can run after all. And this next one shocked me, but the 94 has never been to victory lane. One of the coolest paint schemes ever ran this number, and it never got the win it deserved. Here's the 94. The 94 has competed in 530 total races with 28 top 5s. It's earned 4 pole positions and had 92 lead lap finishes. And remember when we said that Ethel Mobley was tied for being the second woman to ever race in the Cup Series? Well, the other woman to share that title would be our first to drive the 94. It's Louise Smith. Smith would compete in the same race that Ethel would, at Daytona Beach in 1949. She would make 11 starts in the Cup Series, 8 of those coming in the 94. Another historic stat for the series. I love covering these landmark drivers. And then on to the best finish. And the best finish for the number is second, and 3 different drivers achieved this finish. The first to do it would be Sterling Marlin, who would finish second at the 1989 Coke 600. The second to do it would be Terry Labonte, where he would finish second at Sonoma in 1992. And of course the last to do it would be Bill Elliott, where he would finish second at Michigan in 1997. I hate that this number finished second this many times with this many drivers and still never found victory lane. And then on to honorable mentions. GDS, JK Speed, Young Money, Rick and Ace from Discord all mentioned Ty Dillon's showcase car in 2022. Before the merger of Petty and GMS, Ty Dillon was set to run the 94 full time, and after the merger he would switch to the 42. This was a cool show car though, and I kinda wish that the 94 would have saw the track and not the 42. And the McHale's, Blode, DFD, Nathan, Truex Fan, and Jafer from Discord suggested Matt Kenseth. This is an awesome mention. The 2003 Cup champion would make his Cup Series debut in the 94 in 1998. He would fill in for Bill Elliott, who was out to attend his father's funeral. He would finish an impressive 6th place in his debut at Dover. And then on to the current driver. This is a number that hasn't seen the track in a long time, almost 20 years. The last to drive the 94 would be Stanton Barrett in 2004 at Kansas. The last full-time driver of the number was previously mentioned. It was Bill Elliott in 2000. I loved the Mac Tonight scheme, and Bill's 94 font was incredible. This needs to make a return. It's super nostalgic, and that scheme is one of the best of all time. And wow, 3 winless numbers in a row? Yikes. This started out so well, and here we are. Oh yeah, ka-chow. It's the 95. The 95 has competed in 523 total races with 20 top 5s. It's earned 2 pole positions and had 87 lead lap finishes. The first to bring the 95 to the track would be Freddie Farmer at Darlington in 1951. Farmer would start 30th and finish 22nd in the number's first ever race. Farmer would only make 4 Cup Series starts in his career, but miraculously we actually have a photo of him. And then on to the best finish. And this is feeling like deja vu, because just like the 94, the best finish is second, and 3 different drivers would achieve it. The first to accomplish this would be Bob Dole, where he would finish second in 1958 at Busty. He would also get the number's first pole position as well. The next up is a legend of the sport, Darrell Waltrip. He would finish second twice with the number, the first coming in 1973 at College Station, and the second coming in 1974 at Darlington. And finally, we all remember this one. It was Matt DiBenedetto at Bristol in 2019. I think everybody was pulling for Dibby that night. A super emotional moment. A real what-if situation had he won that race. Thanks, Denny. And then on to honorable mentions. And y'all knew this one was coming. Divine, Blode, Titan, Toto, Kendall, Stephanie, Sphered, Kitchen Sink, Tyler, Fan GTM, Chris Belfan, Solo, NASCAR Fan 94, Kristen, Rick, and Duddle from Discord would mention Lightning McQueen. I think this was easily the most heavily suggested honorable mention in all of NASCAR number history. The Rust-eze man himself would make the 95 famous with his famous catchphrase, "Ka-chow." Blode, Titan, Casey Berg, CCS, and Jafer from Discord all suggested Casey Kane. Kane would run the 95 for the majority of the 2018 season for Levine Family Racing before having to call it quits for medical reasons. Kane is an extremely underrated driver in my opinion. Great mention. And then on to the current driver. And I'm sure a lot of you are happy for me making the number font for the thumbnail Lightning McQueen. And I get it. The last to drive the 95 would be Christopher Bell, as he was also the last full-time driver of the number, with the number's last race being at the 2020 season finale. They didn't capitalize on the 95 like they should have. They could have made some pretty awesome Lightning McQueen paint schemes to go along with it. Oh well. And we break the winless curse, if only barely. Let's dig in to the 96. The 96 has one win with one driver. It's competed in 634 total races with a 0.2 win percentage. J.E. Hardy would be the first driver of the 96, as he would bring the number to Darlington in 1951 for its first ever appearance. And this would also be the race with the largest field size ever, as it would boast a staggering 82 cars. Hardy would start the race 73rd, and he would finish 42nd. J.E. would only make 4 starts, and apparently he didn't show up for picture day either. And then on to our only winner. The only driver to take the 96 to victory lane would be Ray Elder, where he would get his and the number's first win at Riverside in 1971. Elder would go on to win at Riverside the very next season, but in a slightly different number, where he would win in the 96 W car. Why did we have to complicate things so much in the early days of this sport? I'll never get it. And then on to honorable mentions. 3D World, Super Bros, and Marco all mentioned Tony Raines' Hall of Fame Racing 96. He would pilot it in 2006 and 2007, and he would grab 2 top 10s with the number as well. This paint scheme is one of my favorites. It's nostalgic for some reason. The colors and style are incredible to me. And then Okinawa, Derek Butler, CCS, Suarez Fan, Dice, and Rick from Discord mentioned our last full-time driver, Daniel Suarez. The Monterrey, Mexico native would pilot the Gaunt Brothers 96 for the entirety of the 2020 season before leaving to join current team Trackhouse. And another driverless number. This is getting old, honestly. The last to drive the 96 would be Parker Kligerman in 2021 at Kansas. And of course, the last full-time driver was an honorable mention, with Daniel Suarez being the full-time guy for the 2020 season. It's been over 50 years since this one has been to victory lane. When will that change? And now we're back to a championship winning number. This is fun. Welcome to the 97. The 97 has 17 total wins with 3 different drivers. It's competed in 689 total races with a 2.5 win percentage. The first to drive the 97 would be John Meekins in 1950 at Langhorne. He would finish 47th out of 48 cars in that race. Meekins would only make 2 starts in his Cup Series career, so no surprise here, he has no known photos. And then we move on to the first to win. Bill Amick would be the first driver to take the 97 to victory lane with his lone career win in 1957 at Sacramento. Amick would make 48 total starts in his Cup Series career, with this being his only win. And then we move on to other winners. And there's only one other winner before we get to our winningest driver, and that would be Parnelli Jones. Jones would win twice in the 97, in 1958 and 1959. Parnelli is also an Indy 500 winner, winning that race in 1963. And then we move on to our winningest driver, and man is this a good one. Kurt Busch is the winningest driver in the 97, with 14 wins and a championship as well. Busch would get his first win with the number in 2002 at Bristol. He would win the 2004 title the first year of the NASCAR chase for the Cup. The last win for the number would come in 2005 at Richmond. When you think of this number, you think of Kurt. Not only is he a future Hall of Famer, but he was so good for the sport. He was able to get the job done in almost any car he got behind, and I hope to see him back behind a wheel sometime soon. And then we're on to honorable mentions. Gilmore, Devine, Impact, Adam Brown, Chad, Christian, Corey, and Dice all suggested Chad Little's John Deere car. He would run this number from 1994 until 2000, and I recently just bought a diecast of this car, so it's a timely mention. And then Christian, Marco, Nathan, and Hot Dog from Discord mentioned Kevin Conway. Yes, Conway would run a funny sponsor in 2011 with the 97 on the side. Laugh it up. Ha ha, funny sponsor. Moving on. Solo, Saint, Ace, TNKL, and Dice from Discord mentioned the Obaika Racing 97 from 2018. Tanner Berryhill would be the driver for 2 races, Phoenix and Homestead, to finish out that season. This is a great mention. Only one more tombstone for the 90s after this one. It'll be nice to end a video with a current driver, which hasn't happened since we did the 21, 22, 23 episode. We already mentioned the last to drive the number with Berryhill in 2018, and the last full-time driver was of course Kurt Busch for the 2005 season. This is SVG's number in the supercars. Could he bring it with him to the Cup Series? Let me know down below. And then on to the penultimate number of the penultimate episode. This one honestly shocked me with its stats. I came in thinking a couple of wins maybe, but this is refreshing. Let's jump into the 98. The 98 has 25 total wins with 9 different drivers. It's competed in 1,057 races with a 2.4 win percentage. The first time this one saw the track would be in 1950 at Martinsville. Lyle Scott would be the driver, where he would finish 15th in a field of 25 cars. And it wouldn't take long for the 98 to find victory lane, with Johnny Mance winning in the number's 3rd ever start. He would grab his and the number's first win in a crown jewel, winning the 1950 Southern 500 at Darlington. This would be the only win for Mance in his 12-race Cup Series career. However, he would also be a winner in the IndyCar Series as well. And then we move on to the driver with the most wins. And the winningest driver for the 98 is Leroy Yarborough, with 10 total wins. This is a big moment in number history, as it would be the first number to complete NASCAR's Triple Crown. This includes winning the Daytona 500, Coke 600, and Southern 500 in the same season. Yarborough would achieve this massive feat in 1969. As a matter of fact, 7 of his 10 wins in the number would come that season. This is a really cool and significant part of number history, and it's cool that it came in a number that I didn't really think was all too relevant. And then we move on to other winners, and we have 6 other winners to get to before our last to win, so let's jump in. First up is Leon Sales. Right after Mance would get the number's first win, Leon would get the number's second win in the very next race. This win at North Wilkesboro in 1950 would be his only career victory in 8 total starts. And then there's Johnny Kuiper, another one-win wonder. Kuiper would get his lone career win in the 98 at Portland in 1956. And then there's Marvin Panch. Panch would find decent success in the 98, collecting 6 wins in his time with the number. 5 of those 6 wins would come in 1957, where he would have the best points finish of his career, coming up just shy of the championship, finishing 2nd. And then there's Eddie Gray. Eddie found most of his career success in the 98, winning 3 of his 4 total races with the number. And a cool stat for Gray, he would win the very first ever race at Riverside Raceway. This is a track that will certainly be featured as one that has left our sport in the track history series. And then there's Sam McQuagg. We talked about Sam in our track history series for his win at Daytona. This would be his only career win, and it would come in the 98, winning the 1966 Firecracker 400. And now we've made it to our last to win. Our last to win in the 98 was also mentioned in our track history Daytona video, as John Andretti would get his first career win at the track, coming in the Cale Yarborough Motorsports 98. Andretti would win the 1997 Pepsi 400 with the number, his first win and the number's last. I'm honestly a bit shocked that the 98 had this kind of success, but hey, that's the point of number history after all. And then we're on to honorable mentions, and this was a heavily requested one here. Freddie, Devine, Tyler, Maddox, Jacob, Marco, Zachary, and Dice all suggested Josh Wise's Dogecoin car. Wise would run this at the 2014 All-Star race. and it would miraculously lead to him winning the All-Star fan vote, allowing him to be in the main show. Man, I love the internet. And of course we have Paul Menard, suggested by Impact, Casey Berg, Mega Butters, Zach Bennett, Astro, and Rick from Discord. Menard would pilot the 98 machine for 2 seasons, in 2009 and 2010, before leaving to go to RCR. And this is the last tombstone of the video. Let's go. The last to drive the 98 would be Reed Sorensen in 2016 at Phoenix, and the last full-time driver of the number would be Josh Wise in 2014. This one has a surprising amount of success. When will we see it back? And we have reached the final number for the 90s. This doesn't seem real, but here we are. This one is a doozy as well. A current driver, the most wins, and the most starts. Let's finish this thing up with the 99. The 99 has 49 total wins with 8 different drivers. It's competed in 1,204 races and counting, and it has a 4% win percentage. The first time we would see the 99 would be in 1950 at Canfield with Al Gross. Al would finish 28th out of 29 cars in the number's debut. Gross would make 3 total starts, so we have a silhouette here as well. And our first winner of the 99 is a Hall of Famer and a pioneer of our sport, Curtis Turner. Turner would get the number's first win in 1956 at Darlington. This would be the only win for Curtis in the number, but still incredible that he stamped his name on this one. And then we go to the driver with the most wins. The winningest driver in the 99 was easily predictable. He's on the Hall of Fame ballot. It's Carl Edwards. Edwards would get his first career win in the 99 at Atlanta in 2005. Carl was famous for his backflips after victory, and he would perform 23 total backflips in points-paying races. He would also make $1 million backflip in 2011, winning the All-Star race that season. I think we can all agree that Carl suffered some monumental heartbreak in his career, especially in regards to winning championships. He would finish second in the points twice with the number, and he would tie for the championship in 2011, losing a tiebreaker to eventual champion Tony Stewart. Cousin Carl shocked the sport when he would announce his retirement following the 2016 season, becoming one of the greatest what-ifs in our sport. I love Carl Edwards. He was great for our sport, and I wish he had never left. And now we move on to other winners, and we have 5 of these to get to before our last to win and current driver, so strap in, here we go. First up is Shorty Rollins. The first on our list has a pretty cool name. Shorty would win his lone Cup Series race in the number at State Line Speedway in 1958. And then there's Paul Goldsmith. Goldsmith would win 3 times in the 99, all coming in 1966. Goldsmith is a 9-time winner in the Cup Series, and he would get the last 3 wins of his career in the 99. And then there's Richard Brickhouse. Brickhouse would also collect his lone win in the 99, winning at Talladega in 1969, driving for Ray Nichols. He would win in his first start with the number, and would only make 2 total starts with it. And then we have Charlie Glotzback. Charlie would win 2 times in the Nichols Engineering 99, both coming in 1970. He would be a 4-time winner in the Cup Series, with half of those coming in the 99. And then of course there's Jeff Burton. Many of us remember Jeff's time in the 99. Burton would pilot the Roush 99 from 1996 until 2004. He would win 17 total times in that stretch, including crown jewel wins in the 1999 Southern 500 and the 1999 and 2001 Coke 600s. While he never won a championship, Burton was named to NASCAR's 75 Greatest Drivers list, and he is on the Hall of Fame ballot as well. And now we've made it to our last to win, and it's our current driver as well. Daniel Suarez would finally catch his elusive first win in 2022 at Sonoma, being the most recent to win in the 99. I love Suarez, and I think he has the talent to add a few more wins for the 99 as well. With the momentum that Trackhouse has, it's definitely not out of the equation for him to have multiple more wins. And then on to honorable mentions. Mature Storm, Corey, Suarez Fan, and Rick from Discord suggested Ryan Reed. Reed, a 2-time Xfinity winner, would make his lone Cup Series start in the 99 at Talladega in 2016. This is a great paint scheme, and that 99 font is how I will always remember it. And then we move on to the current driver. And we've already talked about our current driver as the last to win in the number. I think that Suarez has many more years ahead of him, and it seems like he has found the perfect home at Trackhouse. Let me know down below how many more wins you think Suarez will grab in his time. And that'll do it for the 90s, another marathon of an episode. As always, I'm prone to forgetting drivers. Let me know which drivers of any of these numbers I may have missed for this one. If you haven't seen numbers 1 through 89, the number history playlist will be linked below. Be sure to check them out. We will be back next week with numbers 0 through 09. This is it, the final episode of Cup Series number history. What a ride it has been. If you liked the video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It helps a ton and I definitely appreciate it. And did you know that 75% of my viewers aren't subscribed, but they are returning viewers? If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Be sure to check out the community tab of the channel. We do cool little giveaways like autographed merchandise and diecast, as well as updates and polls for the channel. You definitely don't want to miss it. We also have a Discord server. Find the invite in the About section of the channel and come join us over there for even more fun and learning. But that'll do it for us here at Dogleg Media. I'm Matt, your host, and you've been watching NASCAR Number History. I'll see you next time.